So we're waiting to connect with James.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hi, James.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
I'm Sarah. I'm one of the programmers. It's hard for me to not turn around to look at you.
That's fine.
You're staring at the wrong side of me. You good to go? Okay. So we watched James's film first in this program many projects ago. And I guess just a little context for why the Sticklet Weaver ended up in this program. Obviously, Brent is really involved with bodybuilding or building bodies, maybe world building, right? And so we were really interested in how intricate those bodies are that he creates. And then we also have the film Fathomless in here in this program by Melissa Ferrari and Dr. Fernández García, which I realize, James, you probably have not had a chance to watch these works yet because this program goes virtual tonight. But so it's this film that sort of looks at schizophrenia and other sort of like neuroatypical conditions, I guess, from a research standpoint. And we were hoping to offset or balance that with, hearing directly from someone's voice with that kind of experience. So I guess, James, I will just ask you a question or two, and then we'll see if anyone in the audience has any thoughts to share with you or questions for you. But I guess just to start it off, like, what was your, if any, collaborative process like with Brent, with your protagonist?
Sure. I mean, it kind of was, in some ways, a collaborative process. Brent kind of, he's a guy who's doing his own thing, no matter if I'm there with a camera or not in his studio. But, I did want him to be a part of it in a way. If there's certain pieces that he is more proud of than others, if there's certain things that he wanted to show me, which he wants to kind of show me everything. Anytime I go in there, he wants to show his new pieces, show his new kind of techniques that he figures out on his own. He's not someone who, looks online to figure out how to do something or has a teacher or anything like that. So everything is kind of about him, just kind of figuring it out. So he wants to share that. And I, of course, wanted to share, just his whole process. So while he didn't directly have any shot, he certainly would show me things that I found interesting and that I would capture and try to document. So I guess in a way, he only shared with me what he wanted to share with me. So that's what ended up in the film. But it wasn't too much of a collaborative process, I guess, in a way, though I would show him cuts of it, and he always liked what I showed him. So that made me happy. I didn't want him to be unhappy with the final product. So, I guess that maybe kind of answers your question.
And the voiceover, were you doing multiple interviews with him and recording audio, or what was the process like, or the overall time frame that you were working with him?
Sure. So the process for this one was I shot a lot of footage with him, and then I did the interview. And then after the interview, I went and shot a lot more footage with him. But for the interview, I talked to Brent for probably about an hour. And then you see only about, 8 minutes of that hour-long conversation. Brent's pretty good about expressing himself and talking about his work. At the same time, sometimes he goes off in a different direction, just talking about, superheroes and comic books and things like that. So there was a lot of things in there that I wasn't, necessarily interested in including. But yeah, we kind of just had a long, like an hour-long conversation about his work and his life and things that he likes. And, that was a big part of the filmmaking process, was cutting that down and using the things that I thought were most important. And then I did show it to him and, see what he thought about that. He's very agreeable. So, I mean, he may not even, really cared at all what I put in as far as the audio. But, yeah, I kind of tried to cut it down. I mean, I couldn't make an hour-long movie about Brent. I don't think it would have been as interesting as an 8-minute movie about Brent. But so, yeah, clearly as a filmmaker, I'm letting you hear what I thought was important, even though maybe there were other things that you would prefer to have heard. So, yeah.
And you shot on Super 8? Is that?
Yeah. Yes, that was entirely shot on Super 8, yes.
Mm-hmm. So just in terms of your other work, which I have not seen, but is portraiture like this something that makes up a significant part of your practice, and I guess also working with Super 8?
Yeah, I would say, I've been working with Super 8 probably for about 20 years, and the kind of portrait documentaries I've been doing for about 7 years. My work before that was kind of more experimental work, but then I kind of got interested in trying to do sort of a non-traditional, documentary with Super 8. I know I shoot on video also, but Super 8's more fun to me. It also limits what I can do, and I also just like the thrill of getting it back and seeing what happened. But yeah, it's fun for me to experiment with Super 8.
Does anyone have any questions for James? Toma has a hopefully working microphone today or this afternoon.
Is it working? It's working.
I hear it.
Hi. So I have a question, what your experience was like working with someone who is neurodivergent, deals with mental health issues and disability, and wondering if you identify as neurodivergent and sort of what your approach to representing that sort of human experiences was like for you.
Sure. Yeah, I don't identify as that, but I have predominantly been working with artists who have a disability in some way. Normally, I guess most all of them have been, neurological, not physical disabilities. Not exactly physical disabilities. Brent does have some physical disabilities that aren't exactly apparent, but yeah. So I do enjoy working with people with disabilities and trying to show what I feel is more underrepresented art that I think is great and I think is really inspiring, but also not just inspiring, but actually really good work as well. And I also like hearing individual stories, people with intellectual disabilities. I like hearing their stories. I like hearing what art has done for their lives in which seems to most of the time be in a positive way. And that, I think that's really great. And I also, just really like seeing the work and getting to spend time with the artists. It's fun for me. Most of them have become lifelong friends. I've done, I guess, 5 or 6 pieces similar to this. And I'm still in touch with all the artists and talk to them and love seeing the new work. I purchase their work sometimes. And yeah, it's great to work with these individuals and kind of foster a relationship with them as well. It's kind of what I'm most passionate about, really.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question for James? behind you. Oh,
Thank you. Well, there is a lot that is not said in the movie about a unique person like he is. Where does he live? What else does he do with his life? It's great to know that his mental illness is very much treated with his creativity, but I would have loved to know a little bit more about him other than the creative part of his life.
Sure. Well, thank you for that comment. I actually, an earlier cut of the film did go into that a little bit more, but I felt that concentrating on his artwork and making a really tight piece was more important for this project. But, you know, I can tell you that Brent, you know, lives on his own. He's totally self-sufficient. I mean, he does go to programs that help him learn how to cook and, you know, improve his life. He doesn't necessarily need those programs, I don't believe, but he likes going to them and likes improving his life and learning new things. And he does also have assistance financially, and also has a caseworker who helps him out with things like paying bills and scheduling doctor's appointments, things like that. Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that is challenging when I make these pieces is, you know, how long they can be and how far I can dive into these individuals' lives, and also make a film that's actually interesting that people are going to want to show. I felt it's a little, you know, I don't know, I don't want to say scary. It's not scary, but it's a little tough sometimes to figure out, you know, what length your movie can be, and people are still going to actually want to show it and enjoy it. I felt that Brent's story is incredible. I don't know if a half-hour movie would have been as packed as much punch as this 8-minute movie. So yeah, that's tough for me, because I always want to show everything. Like probably the first cut was like 14 minutes long, and I liked it, but I'm not sure everyone else would have. So I chop and chop and chop, and this is what I came up with, and really was just kind of concentrating on this one part of his life.
anyone else? I guess you sort of mentioned this, but it's so in the credits there's a gallery, I think, that you credit, like a outsider art gallery, which I'm not exactly sure the name of or location to, but I was just wondering if that's an ongoing relationship that you have, or if that was just through like Brent's work.
Yeah, that's it's called the Outsider Folk Art Gallery, and it's in central Pennsylvania. It's actually not a physical gallery anymore. It was at one time. Now it exists solely on the internet, but I think it's outsiderfolkartgallery.com, something similar to that. And they represent, I believe it's four or five different outsider artists from central Pennsylvania, including Brent. And they handle all the sales of Brent's work, unless you just go into his studio and hand him cash. Otherwise, that all goes through the Outsider Folk Art Gallery. There's a woman named Diane Hill, who I also thanked, who's the manager of that gallery. She's great. And she handles all of, you know, most of Brent's sales. You can buy online anywhere in the world and have them shipped to you. Or, you know, you can go to Ready and meet him and pay with a credit card through the gallery. And they handle the tax situation for Brent as well. And yeah, they're really cool. It's a great place. I wish I would have seen it when it was a brick and mortar place. They also represent a man named Jim Bloom, whose work is incredible. Another woman named Sybil Rowe Thompson, who's autistic and does really cool paintings of bathrooms. So if anyone really liked the film, I suggest looking up the Outsider Folk Art Gallery, and you can see a lot more of Brent's work on there, images of it. You can buy a piece if you're interested. I have quite a few in my staircase over here. But yeah, it's a really cool gallery, a really cool, I guess online gallery at this point. But they're good people from what I can tell, and really support the artists. And it's like I feel like 90% of the money goes straight to Brent, and helps him live and helps him still have a studio. They pay for his studio space in the Goggle Works, which you saw in the movie, which is a really nice area. It's Brent, as you saw in the movie, he walks there from his apartment right across the parking lot, basically. So it's really great for him, a place he can go away to and just kind of create every day.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Toma already has the mic.
Hi.
Okay.
Thank you for this. You spoke a little earlier about that previous cut. I'm wondering how much you did film with Brent outside of his workshop, because we get a little bit of that in the beginning of the film, but I'm curious whether there was more footage that ended up not being included, because I think that the place also of the town felt very evocative, and I'm curious if that was a thought of yours initially to show it more. And then second, Super 8 has this fragmentation to it, right? It's inherent to the process. So I would like to know if you have more projects, or if you think about projects conceptually in this fragmented state at a very early stage. Are you doing that now for a future project? Maybe you could share a little bit of that with us.
Sure. Yeah, the first part of your question about the other footage that wasn't included, I did shoot some footage around the town of Reading, and I initially wanted to kind of have a montage of the town before Brent. And the town, it's an okay town. I'm not saying it's not, but the footage really looked run down. The town looks really run down, and I had at the beginning, and then when I watched it, and even when I shared it with some people, it kind of really made it seem like Brent lived in just like this terrible place. And it's not a terrible place, but even on Super 8, it made it look even worse and more dreary. And I didn't want people to think that Brent just like lived in squalor, because he doesn't. And so that kind of got eliminated early on. I also did shoot footage with Brent in his apartment, where he does a lot of sketching. And at first I kind of wanted to include that part where he talks about drawing. But when it came down to the story in the end, it turned out that the drawing really had little to do with his real passion, which are these puppets. And the drawing was more kind of just for fun. At first I thought maybe the drawing kind of helped him turn into the puppets, or was like a precursor to creating the puppets. But it didn't turn out that way. And yeah, it just seemed like it was really important to just get to the puppets and get to his creative process sooner. And it did kind of drag on a little. So I did eliminate that. But that was about it. And as far as Super 8 goes, that is one thing I really, Super 8's expensive. It limits you. It's, each roll of film is about 3 minutes of footage. It's not like video where I can just shoot hours and hours and it's, just costs what a card costs. With film, it's expensive. You need to buy the film. You need to process it. If you want to edit it in a computer, you need to get it transferred. So I'm really limited to that because no one's paying me to make these or funding my movies. I fund them on my own with, just spare money that I have. I invest in my own movies. They don't really make any money. Short films don't really, make you money. So I do think about that at the beginning when I'm starting on how much I can afford and how much I think how many rolls of film I think I need to tell the story, really. And sometimes I need to go, even with Brent's movie and most of my movies, I'll think, okay, well, this movie seems like it's going to be around 10 minutes long, and I'm pretty, I try not to waste film, so maybe I could get like 30 minutes worth of film, and that'll be good. But often I need to go back and buy a couple more rolls because, as you said, I embrace the imperfections of Super 8. I love the imperfections and the crazy things that can happen in the camera. But also sometimes you get footage back that you just don't like, and you want to reshoot, or you want to, not use those shots. They might be too dark. They might be too overexposed. Or they might have a scratch or something that maybe you don't like. I mean, a lot of times I like the scratches and the things like that. But so often, I need to think about that. I need to think about money. I need to think about how many rolls I can get. But I try to plan it out. I try to figure out how much film I can get, and also what will look good on Super 8. After shooting it for a long time, I know, certain things look better than others. Light. The way the film reacts to light is really important and really interesting to me. So that's something I need to consider. Also, camera movement looks different on Super 8. So yeah, you figure out over the years what you like and what you don't like about shooting on celluloid. But yeah, I have a couple other projects I like. I shoot a lot of video in my day job, and I've made a couple little things on video, but it's really a lot more fun for me to work with film, and I am editing another. I've done also kind of a series of portraits about certain places that I've become interested in, and so I am doing one of those right now that I shot on black and white Super 8. Did 3 different ones all in black and white, and that's a whole another challenge, using black and white and dealing a lot with the shadows. So. Yeah, but it's fun to me, and I like to embrace the imperfections that Super 8 gives you, and also the wonderful surprises. And getting it back from the lab and looking at it. You're either sometimes you're a little disappointed, but I feel like most of the time I'm really excited about what I see. So.
Thank you. Also, if you're at home, I'm wondering if you have a piece of Brent's that you could show us.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have a piece of Brent's, a work?
I do. Sure. Just hold on.
Could you show it to us?
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Okay. That's something you can do for online Q&A. Wonderful. Wow. What is it?
The shark?
That's a really early one of Brent's that he made and gave to me, and it's a sea monster.
I do really love the neologism of Sticklet Weaver. I like that he has made up his own terminology to describe both the bodies that he creates and the process for it. I think that's really, really lovely.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think it actually said this in the movie, but Brent was actually early on when he was creating the puppets was not allowed to have adhesives. He was living in a group home situation where adhesives were not allowed, and that's how he originally figured he needed to figure out a way to put everything together and make the joints move. And that's how he figured out this sort of peg and washer situation. And it's funny because now he's certainly allowed to have adhesives, but he really doesn't use them except sometimes when he sticks eyes on things or something like that. But he's just become so accustomed to the sticklet weaving, process that's what he does.
Thank you so much, James.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Bye. You all enjoyed it.